Alright, today we got to change an axle out in the car. This is the axle I've been running for a while. This one was previously repaired. Repair held up for a while, but it ended up getting hit again. Not hard or nothing like that, but it ended up bending the axle. It's got a wobble. So it's time to change it out. Who knows how many runs are on this axle. It's just time. The axle's still good. If I need it for like an emergency, I can still run it. It just has a wobble to it. So I'm going to change the whole axle out, and it's time to change it. Is that this axle had a lot of runs on it, as well as the other axle. The other axle's out being repaired, but I have a constant problem where I run the repaired axles. You know, you breathe on them, you lean on them. Next thing you know, the axle is bent. So we've got a new axle here from Hyper. We're going to throw in the car. Same exact axle. It's a 55-inch standard. I don't run the inboard brake carrier because my seat's all the way back because I'm massive. So I run my brake on the outside, so I need that extra long axle as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start pulling this apart and pull this axle out of this car. Alright, I'm not going to time-lapse the video or nothing like that. I'm just going to go ahead and pull it out of there. And I'll kind of go through the process on it, like what actually has to be done pulling it out. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my pins out of my axle, start pulling my tires off. I got some other things I got to do to this too. I've got to put a Jacob's ladder in it and bend it up, but I'm going to change some stuff on that. So while I got it out, I'll do that as well. So when you put the axle back in too, you want to make sure to loosen up your nuts and go forward. Because if not, you have a problem with your spacers. Tire off. What I do is usually when I'm at the track, I have a pan or something. I put my spacers in so I don't lose them. Because the worst thing you want is to lose a spacer when you're at the track. Even though I carry extra ones, you still don't want to. Same thing on this side. Pull your pin out. Loosen it up. Turn off your nut. Pull your spacers off. And pull your tire and wheel. Alright, and here's what I was talking about when you go to the track. You want to make sure you have all your tools with you. Everything, when you put the car together, put it all in one box. If everything's in one box, it's not a problem. So we do have to pull this off. So right now I'm pulling the chain block off because we don't need the chain block. We need to have the chain block completely off the car to pull the chain and everything off with it. Now I do have on the back side, I don't need a wrench because I use a tie bar on it to make it easier. Pull that all the way out. You'll have to reach back and grab your tie bar. You know, you can have your spacers, your bolts, and all that. You're going to make sure you want to have all those back in place. Alright, so all your spacers are out. Now you got to come in here and take this block off. Once the block is off, you take your chain. Depending on how loose your chain is, you can just roll it back and it just comes. The chain comes right off, throw it out. Take the shock off here. Sorry, not the shock, the arm extension for the radius. Take the pin, pull this out. Your arm's going to drop down. Now it's free. Shock can stay. You don't need to worry about that. Now you got your wishbones. The wishbones bolts are 16 millimeter or 5/8, whichever you're going to use. It's all the same. It's close enough anyway. The only thing I will use is an impact, because I do have an impact when I go to the track. So you come in here, flush your bolts off. There's one. Lift this axle up. Grab this rear one here. Two of your bolts for bird cage. Now arm is free. Just let that arm sit there. This side's completely free. Now we got to go over to the other side and do the other side. So first things first, we're going to drop our pin, pull our pin out. And the rotor, the way the rotors are designed, you rotate the rotor in a certain position to where it will slide, the pin will slide through the rotor. See how it just slides through? Once it's through, pull the pin out. That's free. Now we're going to do our brakes. And again, like I said, Hyper, literally everything you do on the cars is easy to do. There's no difficult parts on it. So they got the cutout for the rotor. Stopped it on there. Wrench. There's the move around. So now the bottom of the caliper. And again, it does not want to come out. So we'll go back over here and beat it out again. I don't know why that's happening, but it's happening. We got those two out. Those are the brake bolts, brake caliper bolts, and nuts, and all that. Now, I'm just going to take this, slide it off, feed it through the center of the wishbone, lay it off to the side. Come through, same thing, wishbone, upper mount, same thing for the lower. Out, wishbone's out. Now we just got to drop our ladder. Let's spin our pin around. Sometimes this could be a little bit of a pain. Sometimes. There's our pin for the ladder. Our clip, pin and clip, that's out. Ladder's out. Now, what we're going to do, there's two ways to go about this. We can pull it out one way or the other. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this rotor off here, pull my spacers, so not mix them up. Pull this rotor, put that to the side, and try to shoehorn this out of here without knocking all my spacers off. Slide it out the left hand side. Actually, what we may have to do is pull the bird cage off. Alright, bird cage is down and out. Now we can slide the whole axle out. There we are. You can leave all that. You don't need to go crazy pulling all that stuff off, the arms and all that. All that just moves right out of the way. Just got to pull the one side off. But like I said, I got to do some work in here on the Jacob's ladder anyway, so it works out. So I'm going to pull this out, and but yeah, that's ain't much to it. Really, two sizes you need: 5/8, 9/16. The rest of it's pinned, and it comes right out. So I'm going to go ahead and swap all this over to the new axle, and we'll go from there. All right, we got the axle swapped over. We got the new axle there. There's the old axle. Two things to remember. One thing, you always tighten up to the rear of the car, loosen up to the front of the car. Also, if your threads are kind of tight where they don't want to free spin,
take you some lubricant, some dry graphite, put them on there. I don't have it on there yet, but that works good if they're like beat up. The other thing, when you change axles or anything like that, or you do your car maintenance, it's very important to inspect. Focus. It ain't gonna focus. Hold on. Right there. You need to inspect your spacers. This one is cracked. This was on the left hand side. This spacer is cracked. This will cause a loose wheel condition, or it'll cause it to wear in on itself, and you'll lose spacing on the axle. So that needs to be replaced. So always keep an eye on your spacers. Make sure they're still good. The bigger teams just change the whole axle after a while. I don't have that amount of money, so I'll just go through and inspect it all. But now we're just going to throw it in the car and put it all back in. There it is. It's in. Just slides right in there. That's it. I ain't going to show you putting it all back together. It's the exact same way in the reverse, but that's it. New axle's in there. Should be good to go now.